Hello, my name is Lorenzo Noya, and I will be presenting my project to implement anaerobic digesters in our school. So, a couple of weeks ago, I started searching for a cheap and effective alternative energy source and found this beautiful anaerobic digestion of Biowaste technology. And well, how does this work? So, it's a microbiological process in which organic matter, for example, such as food or plants, get decomposed in big tanks known as digesters. These tanks are in absence of oxygen, and from this we create several biogases such as methane and carbon dioxide. Methane is a great way, can be used as a great energy source for our school kitchen systems, heating systems, and also to power up the electricity. So when did this process initially start? Like when was it invented? So its industrialization started in 1859, and with its first plant in Mumbai. It then got its first practical use in 1895 from a sewage facility, from a sewage treatment facility center, in which all of the methane was accumulated and used to power up the street lamps of a little town. The anaerobic digestion is subdivided into three main stages. The hydrolysis, which normally in chemistry is a chemical reaction that occurs between a compound and water, and this occurs due to these eubacteria, which are a type of fermented bacteria, and they help with the to convert the insoluble organic matter, like cellulose, for example, into amino acids and sugar. Then we have the acidogenesis, which uses acidogenic bacteria. These bacteria help turn the initial product, which will be a simpler organic acid, into carbon dioxide and hydrogen. And finally, there is the methanogenesis, which is one of the most important steps of this of our anaerobic digestion, in which it is subdivided into mesophilic, which varies from 15 to 30 days, and it's when the conditions are from 20 to 45 degrees, and thermophilic, when it could vary from 12 to 14 days in the temperature conditions of 50 to 65 degrees. Obviously, it would be better to induce this digestion in thermophilic conditions, because there would be a bigger sterilization, and so viruses and pathogens could be eliminated. Now the big question is, why should AOSR consider the possible implementation of anaerobic digesters? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I started, I measured how much food excess my friends and I wasted, and each day we were wasting from 500 to 750 grams of food per day, which, when you think about, is a big number for 5 people, for the waste of 5 people. And if we multiply that by the number of students that there are in the school, which is 210, we would obtain 31.5 kilograms of food every day, and to a grand total of 5,760 kilograms per year, which is an incredible, an immense number, which is almost 6 tons of food excess per year for just our high school. Now, if we consider our middle school and elementary school, which would be other 400 students, this number is even greater. Now, if we consider that just 1/5 of all of this food excess gets used in our anaerobic digestion, then we could power up completely our kitchen, which is pretty incredible. And this is just by things that we would be normally throwing in our trash, but now we can reuse them. The possibilities that the anaerobic digestion gives us are limitless. We just have to understand how to properly use them and how to build, obviously, an anaerobic digester. So, anaerobic digesters are classified into 4 main groups. Single stage, that can be low solid or high solid. The low solid will have the implementation of water. The high solid doesn't have the implementation of water. Then multi-stage and batch. We will focus on the single stage low solid because it is easier to build, it is cheaper and it creates an operational simplicity. So people who are managing to use it, it's easier to learn. Now this would be an example of a single stage low solid. So we have this turbulence which is mixing our digestate, and this is helping the digestate because it's preventing the solid, which is the more mass, which is preventing the fluid that has more mass, for example, the heavier objects of food, to stay in the bottom, and preventing it from having a greater mass on the bottom, and would eventually break the propeller. So in here we have this, which can be known as our digestate, which would be all the food that is decomposing, and our biogas exerts from the top. This biogas would be used, for example, for heating systems or energy in general, and instead this digestate can also be reused, so this wouldn't be thrown away. This digestate could be used as a great liquid fertilizer, for example, as we previously said, for the implementation of rooftop gardens. Those would be a great idea. There's only one problem that occurs with this digester, that there needs to be a lot of pre-treatment, and the pre-treatment is essentially taking out everything that isn't organic matter. So for example, obviously we're not just throwing in our tray with all of the food inside of the digester. We would need to check that spoon, forks, cups and plates are not inside, which is really logical. You can get to it by yourself. And some disadvantages, although, of the anaerobic digestion are that this could cause health risks with the people that are managing it, because if it's not properly used, there could be pathogens and viruses inside of the digestate, but it's very unlikely. And another problem is that if it's not properly built, it could release all of the methane into our oxygen, which would be exactly what we don't want to happen. So this has to be a very good closed system. The advantage, though, that it brings are many. For example, since this is a closed system, all of the methane is being burned, and when methane is burned, it is not a greenhouse gas, so it's not polluting our earth. In addition, we could decrease the pollution in air, in soil and water, and we could reduce the demand for fossil fuels. These AD systems will reduce the likelihood of possible odor problems, because maybe most of you could be thinking that, well, this would smell really bad, but as we said, this is a closed system, so the only odors that we actually smell would be when we open it to put food inside, but that wouldn't happen because there is an actual layer that is protecting us from that. Before building an AD's plant, we need to actually understand how much it would cost and how much energy it could save us. And to build a small system for a school, because we're not aiming to build something which is humongous, it would cost from $20,000 to $50,000, which is a substantially big amount of money. But if we look at the amount of energy that it creates, which is 17,980 kilowatts hour per year, it would save about $6,000 every year, and on the long run it could actually help us. Furthermore, we have to understand that this is an integrated system, so it can't be used. We can't only rely on this as an energy source. We must also understand that this would be part of an integrated system, and we would still need to use normal electricity and gas. And in conclusion, I strongly believe that the implementation of AD system is not only an eco-friendly, efficient solution, but it's also a great way to save money. And who doesn't want to save money? And it is a relatively easy system to build and operate, and will allow the school to reuse all of the unnecessary waste that gets thrown away every year. In addition, the liquid digested producer could help the fertilizations of our school fields, which would be very nice. And I believe that AOSR could be one of the first schools to use this, to implement this, and maybe even to bring it to other schools and help it, and expand this project even more. I hope this offer is considered by AOSR, and to live in a better, cleaner, and more efficient world, we must start by doing the little things. Thank you.